Welcome to Chat with David and Morris. We're honored today to have Kate Reuter as our guest. And Kate, if you would please introduce yourself and your position here at Boutwell's Landing.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Kate Reuter. I'm housing administrator here at Boutwell's and have been honored to serve here since 2016.
I know that you grew up in Amory, Wisconsin. I know that you have some fond memories of Amory, Wisconsin. Would you share some of those with the residents and about your family, high school, sports, hobbies, just anything that brings you back to Amory?
Absolutely. Well, and actually I was born in a small town called Kelmer, Iowa, up until the age of 12. Very, very small town, about 1,000 people. And when I was 12, we moved to Amory, Wisconsin, which is where I call home. I graduated from Amory High School, was involved in a lot of sports. I enjoyed softball, volleyball, Nordic or cross-country skiing. Lots of fond memories. One of the ones I always love is growing up, ever since I was in 6th grade, I would always drive my snowmobile to school. And so lots of neat memories of doing that. It kind of felt empowering to have that freedom at the age of 12 or 13. So,
did you ski?
I did ski, downhill and cross country.
Where?
Usually at Trollhagen for downhill skiing, and then cross country skiing, we had a lot of trails around Amory. So,
any hobbies?
Growing up, just a lot of sports hobbies and just hanging out with friends and with family. So I come from a relatively small family, my mom and dad, and then I have one brother who is 4 years older. We didn't really always get along when we were younger, but now that we've grown up, we're very close.
And so, growing up in Amory and graduating from Amory High School, what were the expectations of the teachers when you graduated? Did they expect that you were going on to college, or were you treated in another way that might have led you to go into like maybe nursing or some other profession other than where you ended up in Stout?
You know, I think growing up, it was always kind of the expectation to go on to college after high school. So I've always had that mindset. I can say, you know, when I graduated and went off to college, I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do. But that was one of the great things of going to University of Wisconsin Stout. It kind of gave me that opportunity to find what my passion was.
And support from your parents.
And a lot of support from my parents, absolutely.
And what did motivate you to go to Stout?
Well, I knew some other people that went to school there, so that helped having some familiarity. But they were a really hands-on school, and I loved that. I believe after I graduated, they turned into a polytechnic, so I loved just having that practical hands-on experience.
And describe the degree that you got and how it prepares you for the employment that you had at, for example, Joanna Shores in here.
Sure. Well, when I went to Stout initially, I was majoring in hospitality and tourism. And along the way, through some work experiences and working at a group home and things like that, it made me shift my focus to service management with more of a focus on the nonprofit industries. And so after college, was fortunate enough to find an entry-level position over at Joanna Shores as a staffing coordinator. And that's where it all began.
And how did the attendance at the Leadership Academy help further your goals?
So a few years back, I was privileged enough to be able to go to the Leading Age Institute Leadership Academy, which is a year-long program with other leaders in our field. And it was a great experience, not only to, meet other people within the industry, but just to hear from heads of all sorts of organizations, including Dan Lind, who is the president and CEO of Press Homes, but along with other leaders as well. And I think it's just helped make me a well-rounded individual, and has just taught me a lot on how to be a good leader.
And then you were employed at Johanna Shores. How did that better prepare you, say, for Boutwell's?
Well, Johanna Shores was my first home. I was blessed to work there for 8 years in a variety of different roles. So I started out at Johanna Shores, fresh out of college, still trying to find my footing and what my passion was, and started as staffing coordinator. I will tell anyone, it was the best experience of my life. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it was also the hardest role I've ever done. And learned a lot, but always knew I wanted more, and kept raising my hand, and was given an opportunity to work in marketing and admissions at Johanna Shores. So I did that for several years, including was a part of the redevelopment of that community. So in 2012, we actually took down the old building and built new, which gave me a lot of experience. And after that, transitioned into the housing administrator role at Johanna Shores. And when Boutwell's came open, it was close to home, and decided to make that my next move.
Now, you mentioned marketing. How did that background help you in this position here? Do you believe that what you do helps attract residents to this facility? And in what ways?
I think having that marketing background gave me a lot of good perspective. You're really hearing these prospective residents' stories and their struggles maybe that they're facing at home, and really finding out what they're looking for. And I think that's helped me in this role, because you have that experience on the front end, helping guide people to what's going to best meet their needs.
And that booklet that I gave you on continuous care retirement centers hopefully will focus on Morris has escaped.
Oh, hang on. Hang on. Oh, I gotta unhook them.
This happens.
This happens, all right. Warts and all.
Let him go. You gonna show this too?
Yeah.
Oh, another question I had related to the community relations director. How did that help prepare you for either Johanna Shores or for Boutwell's Landing?
So the community relations and housing counselor roles are fairly similar. We work hand in hand on helping bring in new prospective residents, and also doing community outreach throughout the community. And all of that just encompasses what we do here at Boutwell's as well.
What was your reaction, Kate, when the pandemic struck?
I think we were all just watching it unfold with a lot of uncertainty. I know I was about a month off of maternity leave, and I can tell you personally, having I think a 4-month-old at the time, there was a lot of fear. I mean, I was scared, what is this gonna look like? Am I gonna have to worry about, possibly having to sleep in the basement, or worried about possibly bringing something home to my little son? So there was definitely some anxiety and some fear there, but then also just knowing that we were here to serve, and we're not in a role where we can really just stay at home. We're here to serve other people, and just knew that we had to keep coming to work and we would get through it.
How did you then help shape the reaction to the pandemic among residents here at Boutwell's?
You know, I think we really just wanted to let people know that we were here. We're gonna get through this as a family, as a Boutwell's community. And we really just tried to be very thoughtful. We tried to over communicate and providing updates. Just so we wanted to offer full transparency as to where things were at as a nation. There was just so much uncertainty everywhere. But we knew that we would pull through no matter what.
Did have any residents died as a result of the pandemic here at Boutwell's?
We have had cases of COVID within our community, and I do believe we have lost a couple of individuals from the pandemic, yes.
If a resident did have the pandemic, what was the procedure to try to care for them?
So one of the wonderful things about Presbyterian Homes is, you know, as we were navigating through, we as an organization, we converted one of our communities in our Reuter Fridley, which is primarily just a transitional care unit. We converted that to a COVID community. So Presbyterian Homes and Alina Health partnered, and they completely made that a dedicated unit. So, you know, when somebody became COVID positive, we had a place for them to go and receive the proper care. They had the staff had the proper PPE and protection, and they had Alina Health connected to that community to make sure they had wonderful care.
How did the staff and residents help you in your job during the pandemic?
You know, we received a tremendous amount of support from our residents, and that meant the world to all the staff. We felt supported from the get-go and gave us a lot of motivation and energy to keep going.
Can you give an example?
There's just so many different examples. I know the wonderful residents put together a big banner to recognize and say thank you to employees, and you know,
Somebody wrote a
we had poems being written. We had residents tirelessly make masks, cloth masks, for staff and for residents. I mean, there's just so many ways. It's amazing to think that a year ago we were still making cloth masks.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you have done differently as you look back and reflect on this?
That's a good one too.
Lots of good questions. You know, overall, I feel like, hey, sweetie, we did, you know, the best we could with all of the unknowns. I think a lot of things just over-communicate. I think that is always key. Just always offer transparency and over-communicate as much as possible.
Let me collect all this.
Here we go. This is a live production. So, Morris, in the meantime, how have you been?
Do you have a question for me?
On the spot, right off the cuff, I don't, but I'm gonna come up with a few, I'm sure.
I say, okay, good. You mentioned maternity leave. Tell us about Benjamin and give us a photo.
Oh, I'll have to pull one up on my phone. I have plenty of photos. But on October 29th of 2019, we welcomed Benjamin Anthony Reuter to the family. So he's my one and only little boy. He is 19 months old now, so it's hard to believe. It's been that long.
He's walking.
Walking, running, climbing, getting into all sorts of mischief. I think we're even starting the terrible twos a little early, but a lot of fun. Keeps us on our toes and keeps us entertained, that's for sure.
Another family.
So Benjamin's our only son, but my husband Jim, we've been married since 2012. and we've been together for over 15 years, so we've been together for a long time. I have my mom and dad who recently moved to Somerset, and my brother who is just outside of Somerset now as well. So that's my family, and then my husband comes from a larger family. He's the only boy of he has 3 sisters, and they're over in the Chippewa Falls area.
No questions yet for me.